Terrible tragedy occurred this morning when athlete Lazar Dukic drowned during the first event of the 2024 CrossFit Games. Lazar Dukic was only 28 years old and was actually one of the top CrossFit athletes in the entire sport. Lazar finished in the top 10 in the last 3 CrossFit Games. CrossFit has released this statement about the events. They're saying, CrossFit is deeply saddened by the death of a CrossFit Games competitor during the swimming portion of individual event 1 of the 2024 CrossFit Games. We are fully cooperating with authorities and doing everything we can to support the family at this time. The remainder of today's events have been suspended. The well-being of competitors is our first priority, and we are heartbroken by this tragic event. Now, the reason I want to make this video is because as of right now, as of the time I'm recording this video, the rest of the contest, the rest of the CrossFit Games has not been canceled. And I do not understand why. Because in my view, the events that occurred this morning are so heartbreaking, they're so tragic, and they're way, way, way beyond CrossFit or the CrossFit Games or anything that can happen from an athletic standpoint over the next weekend. How do you expect athletes, and by the way, CrossFit runs with a ton of volunteers. How do you expect all these volunteers tomorrow and throughout the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to show up and plow ahead? And aside from the athletes and the volunteers, the fact that Lazar Dukic tragically passed away this morning, something to me feels very wrong if they would go ahead and run the rest of the CrossFit Games. Now, not everybody in CrossFit agrees with this take, which to me is a little bit surprising. I didn't think it would be unanimous, but I did think most people would think of this situation and say clearly the person dying is so much bigger than anything that's going to happen athletically throughout the weekend. But there are people, quite a few people really, in CrossFit space that think the weekend should continue.
So outside of even just the fact that the community should be together in the space to process this,
Right.
but also too, there has to have a closure with the community, and then we have to change the temperature of the room a little bit. And I know that that's really fucking hard to say because of how tragic this is, but you guys, you cannot end it on this note.
And also, what is not continuing with the games? How does that fix anything?
It doesn't.
Right. I think that was
But there's a
argument.
chance to fix it if you do continue in terms of people processing and being around each other.
The best argument to continue it is that by not continuing does nothing. By not continuing does not improve the situation at all. So you're looking
We
at a
all walk
problem.
away from an event that
Feeling
there
the
was a
same exact way. Like,
that there was
I
a
don't-
tragic. Yeah.
It's a burden. It's a burden on all of us right now because it's just everybody feels so bad about what
And helpless,
happened
and
and
helpless.
helpless.
Yeah.
And like, we're sitting here toiling. This should have happened and this should have happened. And the ability to process that together as a group and as a community, I think is very important.
I completely disagree, though, with this take that the continuation of the CrossFit Games this weekend could be about processing what happened or the CrossFit community. This is not about that at this moment, in my opinion. No matter what happens, if they did continue it or if they didn't continue it, the weekend is definitely about the tragedy that occurred with Lazar Dukic. And to continue it for the community, to me, feels a little selfish. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about anyone else who does CrossFit. This whole weekend, unfortunately, is going to be about this tragedy. And you can honor Lazar in the future. If you continue on this weekend, it's all going to be about the tragedy that occurred on Thursday morning. And I just don't see the competition going well at all if they did continue it. It'll be incredibly tense, incredibly stressful, and I think the best thing CrossFit can do right now at this point, unfortunately, is just to cancel the event and figure out where to go from here in terms of supporting Lazar's family and what is next for the CrossFit Games. And with that said, rest in peace to the great Lazar Dukic, the European champion this year and last year, 3-time top 10 finisher at the CrossFit Games, and will go down as one of the best CrossFitters to ever do it. Rest in peace, Lazar Dukic.